Alright, hi everyone, here's Burrough once again. Today I'm reviewing Naked Lunch. A few years back I filmed a video about a few novels that I really wanted to check out and that made me very curious and that were maybe major influences on some of my very favorite writers, but that at the same time scared me a lot. Novels and authors that, because of their genre or literary period and current, or because of what I knew about them, I was kind of certain I would find disturbing / unappetizing. Vladimir Nabokov was there, and after filming that video I read Pale Fire and loved it to bits. It's one of the most beautiful novels I've read in recent years. Stephen King's The Stand was in the video, and I still have to read The Stand, even though I think I'll probably enjoy that one a lot based on what I've been told when I finally get round to it. Naked Lunch was probably the one I feared the most from that video. And I had good reasons. Of course I found Naked Lunch incredibly disturbing and upsetting. I am not the biggest fan of the Beat generation. I am not the biggest fan of modernism, especially high modernism, and especially of stream of consciousness narratives when you follow the mind of a character through the convolutions of his psyche and of his thoughts, through a style that tries to mirror this on the page on a thought-by-thought basis. And Naked Lunch is kind of both of those things at once. It's one of the great works of the Beat generation and tries to convey the experience and the atrocity and the dirt that accumulates in the mind of a junkie, of somebody who's addicted to heroin, through a experimental stream of consciousness-y sort of narrative. But what I just said kind of gives meaning and sense to Naked Lunch, kind of makes it sound as if it's, I don't know, Ulysses, except that Leopold Bloom is a junkie. No, that's not it. Naked Lunch might very well not be at all the experience of a drug-addled mind. It might be something else entirely, and it is something else entirely. It is a nightmarish journey between different dystopian lands that make George Orwell's England in 1984 look like I was going to say Disneyland, but Disneyland is pretty dystopian in itself. It makes it look like the fucking Village Green from the King's Village Green Preservation Society. It's a journey through these nightmarish realities where humans fall prey to absolute control exercised by other people in positions of power who are able to do whatever awful, horrid things they want to their subjects, mostly on a very physical level. This is a very disturbing book when it comes to erotic images. It's a very disturbing book when it comes to medicine. So much of it is dedicated to doctors doing awful things to their patients in the name of bizarre systems of control or mere evil and malice. It is very much a book about the rot and the sickness that very often lies at the heart of human wishes and pulses and often human interactions. I very rarely rely on context or anecdotes or author biography in my reviews. After all, I am not a dirty new historicist, but one bit of context might help you understand what kind of novel this is. Apparently, Burroughs liked the title so much, like the idea of Naked Lunch, because it made him, according to him, it should be interpreted literally as the moment in the course of a lunch where people realize what's at the end of their fork, exactly what they're doing, exactly what they're dealing with. Everything is stripped from all sorts of social conventions that we place on things to remove our minds from the disturbing nature of, well, life in general. But of course, as H.P. Lovecraft teaches us, investigating the disturbing dynamics of life, even though it's something that very often fucks you up, is kind of at the heart of the whole pursuit of literature, or at the least it is one of its noblest quests and noblest purposes. As such, for all that so many of the vignettes and scenes in Naked Lunch are extremely upsetting and disgusting and disturbing, if you take a step back, you realize how moral this book is, how it points at the evil nature of certain things humans do. It its indictment of capital punishment, for instance, will be one of its great redeeming features. The way this book explores the pornographic nature of capital punishment really makes... Well, it's not the treatment that's disgusting. The treatment is art. It's the act in itself that is revealed in all its horror. But at the same time, the title Burroughs liked so much, Naked Lunch, apparently Jack Kerouac recommended it, and apparently it came from Allen Ginsberg's misreading the word naked lust from the manuscript as Naked Lunch, and Kerouac just latched onto it and liked the mistake so much. As in, it all originates from a bizarre misreading and mistake, which kind of ties in with the fact that a lot of the meaning you're going to find in this thing, you are going to bring to the book in the first place, which is not bad at all. It's a gift of great art to allow you to bring your own interpretation to it. Novels, after all, as Umberto Eco teaches us, are machines, are nothing if not machines to generate interpretations. Still, I guess what I'm trying to point at is that I think there is so much that deserves to be appreciated in Naked Lunch, even just a few marvelous sentences and beautiful passages scattered among the dirt. But I don't want to give you the impression that this is some very well architected novel in the way, I don't know, some Thomas Pynchon novels are very disturbing, but are clearly the works of impossible complexity and utter genius. If anything, if you take a novel like Gravity's Rainbow, the orgiastic, very disturbing scenes you find time and again in Gravity's Rainbow, where Pynchon clearly had taken too much of whatever was circulating at the party that night and then just sat down and wrote the passage. Those passages, if you take those that usually last, 5 pages, 10 pages tops, and you turn them into a 200-page novel, you literally get Naked Lunch. Which also means that if you take Naked Lunch and condense it through Pynchon, you obtain Gravity's Rainbow and some others of his masterpieces. It also means that this is a necessary step in the evolution of 20th century literature. Because of that idea I mentioned before, that this is uses some interesting high modernist techniques, but in a completely different context and within a beautiful mashup of genres of confessional novel and crime novel and science fiction and horror and satire and dystopian fiction. In the way it meshes everything up, it might be the ur-text of postmodernist fiction. By this point in the review, it should be self-evident whether you want to read Naked Lunch or not. I definitely don't think it's a must-read, especially if you don't really have an interest in literary history and the evolution of it, or if you don't have an interest in postmodernist fiction or in some of the authors I've talked about, or in the mid-generation, call it what you will. I do kind of believe it's an important work of science fiction. I think it's the way it plays with the idea of the centipede. I will put a link in the description box about the centipede figure in William Burroughs that made me so curious to read others of his works. I'm really looking forward to reading more Burroughs. I think if you're a science fiction fan, is what I wanted to say, you should give Naked Lunch a try. But I don't think it's necessarily it's not going to be a book for everyone. Let's be real. And I myself, by all means, in some of these passages, I had to pull the old American Psycho trick of reading through my fingers and skipping maybe a passage here and there, a couple of paragraphs here and there, because of the way it was composed, because of what it is, because of the kind of book it is. I think Naked Lunch is experienced more than read, and that sounds awful, it sounds cliche, it sounds borderline stupid, but I kind of think it's also in a way true. At least the first time you go through it, I believe you experience it more than you read it, and it's going to be a memorable experience. I'm going to tell you that. Once more, I'm really curious to read more of William Burroughs. And I look forward to discussing the book with you in the comment section. What did you think of Naked Lunch? I know so many, like, Naked Lunch is one of the books that's been recommended me the most ever since I started posting videos on this channel, and most of you people apparently love it to bits. What's wrong with you? No, I'm joking. I'm really curious though to hear what you think about it, to hear about your experience with the novel in the comment section below, whether you're an utter fan and think it's a literary masterpiece, whether you agree with the idea that it's more of an experience, and whether you think it's Burroughs' best novel and masterpiece, or whether actually some others of his works is more, well, conventional novels, if that's a term that can in any way be applied to Burroughs, whether those ones are better. Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you as always for watching the review, guys. Bye, guys.